Check this out. How exciting is that? I know the most astute observers among you will recognize this as a spare pineal gland. Last year I went to Tibet and picked up 2 of them on the black market. They're available from the Yeti. The Yeti is as psychic as we are. That's why we can't find them. They know when we're looking. Do you know that we are that psychic when we are born? However, they put fluoride in our water to calcify the pineal gland, thus keeping the population blind to what they are doing out there. Yeah, do the research. I went to South America with it. I'd heard of a program. The Mayans practiced something called trepanning, putting holes in the head to let the evil spirits out. Come on, how goofy does that sound? Well, in this program, I took some DMT, and when I returned from the far side of eternity, they had installed one in my head. Here's the X-ray. I am now fully capable of mind reading. My calcified pineal gland is gone, and I've got a fresh one in, and that's what this video is about. I am going to teach you that same process. I'll even give you a demonstration. Before we begin, I'm going to read your mind, but I got to tell you something. Once you do this, you cannot turn off the world. Your mind becomes opened up. There are 7.5 billion people out there today. Do you know what that sounds like up here? I'll focus. Notice mine is a black eye. That's kind of a cosmic repercussion from spilling secrets. Okay. You are thinking bullshit. Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. Welcome to Just One Truth. I think it's important sometimes to lighten things up a little bit, huh? The spiritual search can be pretty intense. It depends on what you're doing and at what stage you are in. When you're doing house cleaning and getting after the worst things that you carry, when you're making friends with the skeletons in your closet, it's very tough. Sometimes it's fun just to laugh about things. Okay, in this video, I want to talk about what is called the third eye, the mind's eye. And I have very strong convictions about what that is. And it coincides with or dovetails with everything else that I've covered and that I've been talking about. I want to caveat this with telling you that this is my theory. None of this can be proven. There's some significant ideas in the world about what the third eye is. It's an old idea. It's a Hindu idea that goes back thousands of years. So you come along in current times and say, I think I've got a different idea. People would question what you're talking about, and that's okay. I'm not asking anybody to believe me, or to listen to me, or to do anything I say. My life has been defined as somebody who seeks and knocks, who has had very compelling reasons to go look for answers that were something I could live with, that made sense to me, that I could wrap my brain around and not have to have just faith in them. I questioned. And I think people who seek and knock do that. I'm simply presenting my findings, and it's up to you to take it and make sense out of it, or to discard it and say, yeah, that's crazy. That's fine, whatever you want to do. I want to start by providing you with an anecdotal story about my life a long time ago. And it's an event that I would have to say my third eye, my mind's eye, was really highly engaged at this moment. and it was very specific. And it was something that I carried with me through life that caused me to really look for answers. It was not simply that event, but everything that kind of surrounded it. So even though I've told this story in another video or two, I'll go ahead and cover it here so that this is kind of a standalone video and introduces the reason I took the path. I was raised in a very abusive home, physically and mentally. And I had a brother that was older than me by a year and a half, and we were very close. We went to church, and one day coming home from church, my brother Larry, he told me that day in their Sunday school, in their class, he was a class above me, that they had talked about heaven quite a bit. Now, we already knew this idea of heaven and hell. This was something that was taught to us as little kids, but as he was getting older, they went into more detail. And apparently his teacher must have known something. Anyway, he was talking to me about it that day on the drive home. We were in the back seat of the car, and he was telling me about when you go to heaven, you don't get beat anymore. You don't get whipped. You can eat ice cream. You can have fun. Boys and girls play together, and moms and dads are nice. And just a lot of things like that. I don't remember it all. I remember, though, that he was very excited about it. And I wasn't quite at his developmental stage, so I was like, okay, yeah, I know about heaven. It didn't quite ring with me the way I remember his excitement was. After we got home, we had lunch, and then I was tasked to stay in the house and help my next brother down, a 5-year-old, learning his ABCs, while my brother Larry went outside. I remember looking out the back window of the house, and he's throwing a bucket up in the air and catching it, walking across the yard. We had some ducks. And of course, part of our daily chores was to give the ducks food and water and let them out of the pen. And that's what he was doing at that time. We had them for the eggs. We would eat the eggs, and they ate slugs out of the yard. This was near Seattle. It was a wet place. We had a lot of slugs. And everything seemed okay. And I remember, however, that I had this really compelling drive to go outside. And that was really a no-no. Those were things we didn't do. It was like voluntarily doing something wrong. It would be subjecting yourself to a whipping and a lot of pain and anguish. So the environment was such that we had to say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. You'd get a whipping if you said what. You'd have to say, ma'am. It was very strict, very structured, and very quick with belts. And the spanking was not a spanking, it was a whipping. It was somebody going out of control, and their demons played out as they just wailed away. So it was pretty extreme. So this compulsion that I had to leave the table and go out and find Larry was something that was kind of bizarre. I remember looking back on it that was the case. I didn't think about it then. I just felt, I was a kid. I just felt like I want to go out and find Larry and play with him in the woods. About 20 or 30 minutes into helping my younger brother with his ABCs, he had to go to the bathroom, and I took that as my opportunity to escape. I was being pulled somehow. Something in my heart just made me want to go. And I had to sneak out. I remember looking around the corner of the doorway and seeing my mom was in the living room reading the paper, and I thought, okay, I can be real quiet and sneak outside. And I had my socks on and went across the linoleum floor in the kitchen out to the mud porch, back room, utility room. I pull my rubber boots on, and I'm pulling my jacket on, and just as my hand is coming through the sleeve, I'm reaching for the doorknob simultaneously. And I perceived like a palm on my forehead, just something stopping me, dead. Nobody was there. Nothing was there. It was just me and the door. But I remember that perception. And 2 words occurred to me in my head that were as matter of fact as 2 and 2 is 4. The sky is blue. I like ice cream. And the words were, Larry's dead. And I remember just pausing, and my hand was an inch or so away from the doorknob. I felt like something was holding me, but I quickly dismissed it. I shook that off, in a half a second or something like that. It was like, oh, that's crazy. Where did that come from? I sneak out very quietly, open the door. We got that loud banging screen door on the back that squeaks. So you very slowly open it just enough to slide out and slowly let it close. And I made it out. And I took off and I went up into the woods. We had a little tree fort platform up there in the trees. And I knew he would be up there. And I found him within a couple of minutes. And indeed, he wanted to go to heaven bad enough. He took a rope and put it in the tree and took his life that day. And I found him. And that was the story. I didn't think about that for a long time. I had bigger fish to fry for a number of years, dealing with his loss, dealing with the continued home life. I didn't stop the abuse. All of those things continued. I finally ran away from home and had kind of a rough start. But it was something that happened that was a part of a drive that compelled me to seek things. I always remember thinking, what was that? Was it his spirit? Where is he? Am I going to see him again someday? I thought of all those things. I remember in church them telling me, oh, that was God talking to you. And I dismissed that right away because at that point in time, my brother Larry and I had already spent time praying to God, please help us, please come and talk to Mom, do something, get us out of here. And nothing ever happened. Nothing ever changed. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. You might as well talk to a brick wall. And so I thought, why would God be warning me so that I wouldn't be freaked out by that? God didn't do anything along the way to stop that. I would have looked at that as if that was from God. That would be like a cruel joke. Here, not only am I going to ignore you for your entire life as you're begging me for help, but I'm going to take your brother and let you know just beforehand what kind of crap is that? So no, that was not a good answer. People would tell you it was his spirit, it was angels, it was a variety of things. In my younger days, I remember being open to everything. Yeah, how does that work? What do you think happened? You're looking for answers and you're open to any ideas. And I spent a lifetime looking, and I eventually found the answer that works for me. And that's going to be something I'll reveal as we go through the video. So let's go ahead and do that. What is the third eye? What is it that made that happen? What was it that spoke to me in my mind at that moment of really intensity? What we'll do is start with what is the third eye? And we'll look at a definition from Wikipedia here. It says the third eye is a mystical and esoteric, that's a secret teaching for the uninitiated masses. The third eye is a mystical and esoteric concept of a speculative, invisible eye, usually depicted as located on the forehead, which provides perception beyond ordinary sight. So this is something that is a part of certain religious cultures. So that tells me something like this is so observable and so significant that, honestly, we'll just cut right to the chase. There are millions, perhaps billions of people that believe in a third eye. And whether they're Hindu and they're using it as the chakra and meditating on it for clearer vision and clearer sight beyond themselves, or a lot of Western ideas where my spoof in the opening introduction was about, where there's this idea that the pineal gland is the third eye and that it has the capacity to give us this second sight, and that the conspiracy theorists think that fluoride in the water causes calcification of that which removes the sight, which in the most extreme cases of people believe that that's done intentionally to keep the population unaware, to keep us dumbed down. And that one's pretty silly, actually. Those are the ones you ask, well, why don't you just drink bottled water then? Won't you get psychic then? And they're the ones that'll get mad at you pretty quick and tell you, just do the research. What? What research? I grew up on well water, and, maybe that's why it happened. I don't think so. No, this is something that is definitely there. The third eye is there. There's a perception. There is some sort of the capacity for the human to sense things beyond the norm, but we also realize that this isn't something that is as clear as your hearing or your vision or something like that. It's something in your environment that are kind of like shadows. You can become vaguely aware of things. And sometimes it's very specific, like it was with my brother. Larry's dead. And that sometimes happens to other people. There's stories out there about, a mother at World War II who gets a visit from her son in a dream at night and in the Midwest. And he's there in his uniform and says, "Mom, I'm in a better place. It's okay." And then weeks later, because this is so long ago, there's no internet or anything like that. People communicate by writing letters. And she looks out the front window because she hears a car pull up and stop out front. And she sees a couple of military people coming out to walk up to the door, and they're carrying a flag. And she already knows what they're there for, that her son died that night 2 weeks ago. And those things can happen. Yeah, they're anecdotal stories. And it doesn't happen to everybody. Most people don't get situations like that happen. Sometimes people do get gut feelings. Sometimes people do get some sort of instinctual thing. The hair up on the back of your neck, or the sensation that somebody's staring at you. Usually that happens if somebody's staring at you, unless you've got something wrong with your head. But those are things that we naturally do. And the question becomes then, is that the third eye? How accurate is this third eye? What does it permit? And if you do look around and you do dig into it as I did, you find out that it's just kind of a vague perception of things that you can become aware of, and that's not super accurate. This is a scary thing, though, because people don't understand it very well, but they can become aware of it. They know that there's something there, and then mind readers and people like that become kind of charlatans that can take advantage of people who think, oh, I know there's something there. There's something bigger than us. And these people must have some kind of a special connection. Now they're liars. They're taking advantage of people who are hurt, who are elderly, any number of things like that. There are no mind readers out there telling you what your future is going to be or what your spouse who has passed on is doing at this moment in time. You may very accurately sense that creepy person staring at you all of the time, but you can't go down and pick the lottery numbers and become a millionaire and quit your job so that creepy person doesn't stare at you anymore. It's kind of on a much smaller scale. And unfortunately, the people who call themselves psychic have an advantage with people in being a ripoff and a con artist to them, because people do have this sensation, this feeling, and they don't understand what it is. They don't understand it's a natural part of instinctual human survival that we don't necessarily need anymore from being on the savannah. We could still use it in life if we simply know what it is and understand it. That's a whole nother video that I'm not going to cover. There are videos out there on the charlatans of mind reading. You can look that up if you're interested. But everybody does have a certain sense. And I believe that some people are born with a higher level than other people. And I believe that there's a reason for that is actually in the way our brains are wired. Let me explain what I believe on that. First of all, that we evolved on this planet. We are a product of every bit of life that's ever been here. Our DNA connects with everything. I'm sure if we could get dinosaur DNA, we'd find a close enough match to realize, yeah, we're descended from them too. Everything on this planet is connected to everything else. We emerged in this ecosystem like the rest of the creatures. I'll post some links down below to some videos, a couple of different videos. One of them shows monkeys today, baboons, chimpanzees living normally, where they will hunt each other down and grab the young and begin eating them. That's how they survive. It's a normal part of life. Honestly, I find it to be horrific to view the videos. I don't find it to be pleasant at all. When you watch creatures that are being eaten like that, but if that creature isn't being eaten like that, that creature's with its group hunting and trying to eat another creature like that. That is how we emerged on this planet. Some creatures have, or at least appear to have, some sort of an ability to alertly sense danger in the environment. Imagine having a survival advantage because you can kind of get the sense of being watched and stalked by this cat, a leopard, lion, something somewhere that is creeping up on you because they're hungry and they want to eat you, or they want to eat your children or the people in your group. It doesn't matter. Whoever they can get a hold of, that's how life is. And this isn't once or twice. This is all the time. Every day you're trying to eat and you're trying to survive. You're trying to keep from getting eaten. Survival advantage goes to the ones who can eat more and get eaten less. And it seems to me that we would have evolved with that same sensation that if something is stalking you, you can become aware of it. I believe that is what we're looking at. That not everybody in a group senses the same way. We know today from brain research that people are born with sometimes different wiring in their brain, and that creates personality differences that are not conditioned. Introversion, extroversion, sensing, feeling, different things like that that are not a part of your upbringing, but are a part of your makeup, a part of the way you were born. Yes, your life after that is a considerable part of how you emerge, but you're not going to turn an extrovert into an introvert or an introvert into an extrovert. And to kind of close up on something I said earlier, that some people are born more capable, I believe from my observations and from my own just looking at life, and I haven't done any serious research on this. That's not me. I just do my own research. I feel that the NFs, if you're using the Myers-Briggs type identifier for personalities, that the sensors and the feelers are the people who are most capable of doing this. They're the people that can sense their environment. They're touchy-feely. I'm that way. I'm an INFP. I consider myself a big, strong guy. I cry easier than anybody else I know. I have a lot of empathy. I have a lot of connection with things that hurt when you sense somebody else's pain. I can walk in the grocery store and, see the developmentally disabled child in a wheelchair with their parents shopping and the other kids, and they're all playing and their life is normal. And I got to walk someplace else so nobody can see that I'm tearing up, getting misty over it. What is that? Why does that happen? And I don't have control over that. It's something that just emerges. And there are other people who would look at that and go, yeah, you know what I mean? The last job I had, I worked with a group of people. It was in a government place. And again, you're, as the introverts and the feelers, you're kind of more rare in the population. There's not as many of you that are probably the lookouts. Most of the other people are the hunters and the alpha males or whatnot. Not that many years ago, America went to war. And there was video coming back from a lot of sources. People with their cell phones, people from videos on gunships. And I can remember them really getting into it and watching videos of people on the ground being decimated, ripped apart by weaponry, literally not being shot and dropping, but literally coming apart in pieces. And I can remember them, oh man, look at that. Oh God, yeah. I would have to leave. I couldn't stomach it. It hurts now to think about it. And they're like really into it. We're really different. The people that are the ones that are the sensors and the feelers, they're the ones that probably have a stronger capacity to sense their environment. I don't want to use the term third eye because actually it's like so many religious things. It has a lot of baggage to it. Go look on the Gaia channel or things like that, and they go on and on and on about how to change your diet and how to change your water to minimize the calcification, to enhance your third eye capacity, or, the meditating on the chakras. The meditating on the chakras, that one actually has some validity. I'll talk about that one in a second. But the whole physical, do a couple of dietary changes and bingo, you're all repaired. All that stuff is crap. And there are cottage industries. There are millions of people that are into that whole thing, buying products and doing a variety of things to decalcify their pineal gland because that's their mind's eye, which helps them to see. I don't believe that at all. I believe the brain working with basically your central nervous system, and however you sense, however you feel. You think certain things, but your emotion and how you feel life radiates physically from your body in a completely different way. It's almost like this is the radio and this is the antenna. I know that's radically oversimplified and probably going to take some heat on that one, but it's an easy way to look at it, that this senses and picks things up and radiates things out. But this is what's controlling it. And when it picks things up, this can process what it is, and it can also radiate things out. There are times where people commonly in the environment will engage this. There's stories of police officers looking for a lost child that just had this instinct, and they checked someplace that nobody else was going to check, and bingo, there it was. Mothers that knew something about their kids. But at the same time, there are millions and millions of situations that didn't happen like that, where somebody didn't pick up on it. And the cop's instinct didn't catch all the robbers or know that those things were going to happen. So it's kind of a rare situation that seems to be kind of isolated to different things, certain other kinds of emotional things. And I don't know exactly what that is. I do know that it isn't as easy as sensing and reading everything around you. One component part that I can bring in, I know from my own experience, is that my accuracy in Larry's Dead, reading my brother, he and I were incredibly close, and we were incredibly trapped in an environment that was very emotionally difficult for us, routinely, for our entire lives. And we relied on each other, or at least I relied on him. And there was a connection there that was very intense. And the emotional situation was incredibly intense. Grandfather dies and you got to get a phone call. You didn't pick up on that. So that could be a factor in it as well. What is the intensity of that? What is the connection on both ends? What is the person who is lost radiating, and is the right person out there receiving? I don't know. It looks that way. You might be the kind of a person that walks into a party and there's a big group of people in there, and your attention is drawn to one person someplace that you look at, and they're, for whatever reason, you just know that something's wrong with them. And if you get a chance to talk to them later, they'll say no, and then maybe later on tell you, there is. Are you, can you help me? But you don't have a sense of anybody else in the room. There's connections that are made sometimes like that with individuals, and I don't know why that is. But I do know that they happen and that we all tend to do them. What about being at home? Everything is okay. You're calm. You're relaxed. Then you go into work. It's the same as every day. Then you get in traffic and it's slowing down and you get impatient and you get anxious. Are you really impatient and anxious? This feeling, this sensation? Look around you. People are like gripping the wheel and flipping each other off, and there's a lot of impatience. Are you simply bathed or located in an energy field of people's sensations that you're picking up on, and you don't realize, oh, that's not my feeling? We know that it works the other way too. You can be in concerts, musical concerts or plays, sporting events, and people are caught up in things and they feel good. And you feel better at that moment than you would if you were by yourself. And you don't think about that. People in church that pray and worship, and they will swear because of the sensation that they're feeling, that that's the power of God, that that's the Holy Spirit moving across them. There's a lot of different experiences like that are actually the same thing. And it doesn't matter who you are, you have those experiences. People feel them, they see them, they don't know what it is, and so they look to the supernatural and say it's magical, it's mystical, it's spiritual. It's somehow something from the great beyond that is favoring me in some way. When in reality, really, where does that come from? Is there possibly a logical, natural explanation that does not defy the laws of physics? And I say, yeah, there probably is. That sensation of knowing something is wrong is your third eye. Yet at other times, you don't pick up on other things. Things are happening around you and you don't know. But you might turn around 2 weeks later and go, I really feel like I need to call my mom or something. And you call and she's worried about you, or maybe she's not doing well or something. We have moments of it working and times where it doesn't. And I think what people want to do is to improve their capacity to connect with their environment and to read those things. And I believe that the reason that we lose the capacity, and remembering, first of all, that some people are probably born with a better capacity than others to always do that. Probably everybody can do it to some degree. Some people just better than others. But as we go through life and have experiences that cause us to begin accumulating things in our brain, that those things begin to take up space and get in the way of our capacity to be accurate with it. They become our filters, our judgments, our perceptions. Maybe you sense something that's wrong, but you read it completely wrong. It's not at all what you thought it was because of your own perceptions. You didn't see it clearly. You read the Bible? I'm not a Christian. But Jesus in the Bible talks about before you help your brother to see, before you can take the splinter out of his eye, you must remove the wood from your own eye. What is this eye? It's not this eye, it's the mind's eye. It's your capacity to see. It's the third eye. The teaching and the idea is there to take out the things that cloud your capacity to see clearly. And then you can help other people. You try to help people without doing that, you're not helping them correctly. You're helping them through the filters of your own perceptions. And a little bit ago, I made a comment about the validity of meditating on the chakras. The chakras, if you don't know, are these 7 points in Hinduism that all are considered energy centers in the body, that all represent a certain group of qualities. And that If something isn't working out right for you, it is because something with these energy centers, these bundles of whatever it is that they believe in, is got some kind of bad energy to it. There's something not quite right there. There's not a good flow. And the practice then is to try and heal those energy centers. Why would that be effective? I'm going to say, though there aren't 7 energy centers there, that there are not 7 chakras. What there are focus points. Let's take an example right here. What happens if we take one of these chakras, the Sacral Chakra? This one is supposed to be the chakra associated with your sexual and creative energy. Yeah, an energy center in your body that does that, well, people are convinced of it because it works for them when they meditate on it. But what are you doing if you're meditating on that spot and you're looking to enhance your creative or sexual energy somehow? And then it improves. People will say, well, because I healed my chakra. And I think that what is happening is that you're healing your brain. Your brain is really the one doing everything. When you're focused on sexual energy, you probably get horny. Our hormones function that way. Yeah, it's going to enhance. Creative, same thing. Does that mean that there's an energy center there? Or does that mean your brain is focused on something while you're meditating? So I believe that there is a reason for meditating on chakras and focusing on what they are for. But you're focusing on something very specific, which is wiring your brain. So I personally basically view the chakras as something like a talisman, something that, like an amulet or something, a rabbit's foot, a charm. And to me, that is totally okay. And the reason is because a lot of people have a difficult time looking at this as just a mechanical process, a brain process, a very scientific spirituality process. Nobody wants that. They want magical, mystical. They want something that is, I'm doing something that is invoking something bigger than me. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is still doing for them what needs to be done. It's very effective as far as accomplishing that. It still doesn't go towards the idea of clearing out the things that are there. And if you've watched my videos, you'll know basically what I have found has been the most important thing in my life is to stop looking outward, to turn inward and clean out all of this stuff, to get rid of your pain and your shame, to forgive everybody that hurt you, to do all of the things necessary to be okay, to not feel those things, to not continually living life experiencing those things, to let go of the media, to let go of the news, left or right, doesn't matter. Yeah, go ahead and watch your local news or something. I don't watch TV at all. There's plenty of media elsewhere that are something I can pick and choose. I decide what goes inside of me. Whatever goes in, whatever it's going through your perceptions is wiring your brain and is causing you to feel a certain way. We tend to attach to things that make us laugh, that we look at and we feel anguish over. And in continually doing that, we're wiring our brains. We're getting better at it. It's like learning to drive, practicing and practicing and practicing until you can do it without even thinking about it anymore. It's happening in the background. And that's the way all of life is. When you're watching something you hate all the time, it does the same thing to your brain as learning to drive until you don't have to think about it anymore. Think about that. You got to let go of stuff. And as you disconnect and as you get rid of all of the things in your life that are unnecessary, you're pulling the wood out of your eye. These are metaphors. Pulling the wood out of your eye is getting rid of the things that prevents you from seeing clearly. And I can promise you that no amount of changing your water intake source is going to do this house cleaning, is going to make a difference in your life. You're looking for answers and you're spinning your wheels on that one. Finish up the process. I've done it too. I thought, oh yeah, let me try all these different things. I tried things, but I didn't have patience. When it became evident that they didn't work, or people were saying, yeah, it takes a while, and you realize people have been doing this for years, and you look at them and go, God, I don't want to be like them. Then leave. Go, yeah, that one's not working. You make the choice. Don't let them tell you to do the research. Wake up. You are waking up. They're not awake. They don't know what that even means. So in the end here then, what are we left with? This basic idea that sixth sense that we have is natural from an evolutionary standpoint. It's a connection that we made with the energy of the cosmos, of whatever is happening, other creatures with intent, with mental intent, with brains affecting that field, and you being in that field and being able to perceive what is happening in that field. And that's not a very clear thing. It's not like your perception is as clear as what you can see with your eyes, or hear with your ears, or taste with your mouth. The sixth sense is something that is not as intense. It's not as clear. It's not as developed, but it is there. And we can enhance it by getting rid of all of the things that we're packing with us that prevent us from seeing life clearly. Perceptions, judgments, the anger, the hatred, all of those things. And that, depending on the kind of brain you were born with, you may never be good at it. But also, depending on the kind of brain you were born with, you might wonder why you're always feeling things that aren't your feelings and not figuring it out. You got to realize you're a very empathic, sensitive person that is picking up from your environment, and that those feelings and those sensations are not yours. You are the great ape on the savannah that sensed the danger, that was able to alert everybody. It was simple then. What was life? What did we say? You need to eat and you need to not be eaten. And you focused on that. Not the media, not the hatred, not the protesting, not all of the craziness that is in this world that we get inundated with. Simplify your life. Clean out the mess in your head. Go to what's necessary, and you will be enhancing the vision of your third eye. Okay, so now that this is said and done, Larry's dead. What's my conclusion? I believe that there was no spirit. I believe that there's a field. I believe that in the intensity that Larry would have been experiencing, I'm sure that initially there was incredible pain, maybe even thoughts of, oh no, I need help. I changed my mind. Who knows? Those thoughts have kind of haunted me in life. That he reached out to me, and that I sensed that, and I knew what dead was. My own thoughts plugged that in. Larry's dead. I knew Larry. I knew dead. Larry's dead came from up here based on the information that came from the cosmos. That's the only explanation I can see that actually makes logical sense based on everything that we've talked about. And it's sad because it means, okay, there's probably not a spirit. Probably we'll never see him again. That was it. And that he was at a point in time in a place where he thought that taking his life was going to get him to heaven. That's pretty sad. The experience of that was a catalyst for me in my life to send me on this path to find what I needed to find. And I was the right person in the right place at the right time. Does that sound weird? To get to where I am, and I feel good and I'm happy. And I think that I would be remiss if I didn't have the courage to tell this story and to let his death stand for something that will help other people that are, God, I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of people out there that have been hurt. And I think it's important for them to see that there is a path, perhaps. It's up to you to take it. The path, honestly, the reason you can't walk anybody's path, the reason nobody can tell you what to do, because that path is inward. It's inside of you. Only you can make that trek. You have to go back through your experiences, through your life, through your mind. And instead of just trying to force a pathway through all the stuff that's there, you got to clean out all the stuff that's in the way by, the things that are talked about by our spiritual masters of antiquity. The love, the forgiveness, the kindness, the being good. Those are the things that clean out the hurt and the hatred. And it's not about the other person. You're thinking it's all inside your head. It only does you good or harm. Everybody walks their own path. But the destination's the same. We're all looking to be happy. We're all looking to love life. We're all looking to experience joy in this world. And there's people in this world that will never get an opportunity. And that's pretty sad too. Well, I love everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Look. Check this out. I bear little doubt that the sharpest-eyed among you psychic researchers, I bear very little doubt that the most astute of you psychic researchers will recognize this instantly as a spare pineal gland. I just recently returned from a trip to Tibet, where I was able to get a couple of these spare ones on the black market. Seems obviously now. Turns out the Yeti is the second most psychic of all the great apes. That's how they avoid... That's how they know we're looking for them. That's why we can't find them, They know when we're looking for them. Turns out the Yeti is the most psychic of all the great apes. That's how they know when we're looking for them. However, when the human is born, we have even more, a higher... They would cut holes in the skull to let the evil spirits out. Okay. All right, straighten up. One take. All you need is one good take. Just one good take. Well, you hand your gland to the doctor. You take DMT and you go tripping. One day one of those ancient alien Nephilim conspiracy theorists is going to see this video and say, dude, how much do you want for that spare gland? And goes to the highest bidder. How's that? And go tripping to the far side of eternity. Okay. I got this. I can do it. And when you return from the far side of eternity, they have installed that. I can't do this. What the hell? This is not... I now have access to the Akashic records. Everybody knows that fluoride along with chemtrails are a control tactic for the population to keep us all in line. There's a problem with this when you get it done, though. That's why I combat the government Illuminati with CLR in my water. There's 7.5 billion minds out there going crazy, and it sounds like and it feels like you got a head full of demons. You can read minds. I can read yours right now. I can read minds right now. I can read I can read your mind right now. It's blank. I gotta cut this script. I can't do this. That's what happens when the cosmos recognizes that you are giving away cosmic secrets. You get a black eye. You get a black third eye. Then you can just drink whatever water you want. You get a black third eye. Okay, let's try it again. Don't do this at home. I got it. The water has apple cider vinegar in it, which is... Oh, you know what? This works too, the brand that I have. And I guarantee a discount to anyone wearing a certified foil hat. You're going to need it. Message me. Cities and municipalities from around the world add fluoride to the water in order to calcify the pineal gland. I can't get it right. I can't pull this off. And I'm getting hot. Oh my gosh. Okay, get the line right. Start again.